Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Pamanhin, medyo na-late tayo ng ano ngayon. Ngayon lang nag-ayos yung internet signal namin dito. Past few days kasi medyo nagwawala-wala siya. Pero still, andito pa rin tayo. At nandito tayo because I'd like to share with you, lalo na yung sa mga friends natin na nasa real estate. Paano ba gamitin ang Feng Shui para dito sa real estate selling natin? O kapag may mga kliyente tayo na naghahanap ng property sa atin, pag halimbawa magtanong sila, ay, ano ba magandang property? Paano ba natin malalaman na magandang property? Pag nasa real estate ka, may makukwento ka sa kanila. And kung ikaw naman ay hindi taga-benta ng real estate, kung ikaw mismo ang bibili, maganda rin, may alam ka na kahit konti lamang naman, hindi tayo magpapalalim ng gusto sa discussion natin dito sa Feng Shui, pero I'll just give you some tips that you might want to look for and to look at whenever either you are buying property or you are selling property. Siyempre, pag buying ka ng property, gusto mo naman medyo the property that you will be buying would be conducive enough in terms of energy level, in terms of feng shui. It is something that will give you, well, I don't like to really use the word luck, but in feng shui, that's what we use, luck. Okay? And if there are some challenges in the property, to minimize those challenges. And if you are selling property, it would be good to know and a good story to tell your client, like, you need to buy this property. Or the property is best for you or is perfect for you. Why? Because look at this. These are the things that you can see, and this is the feng shui of this property. So it will be best for you and it is perfect for you to purchase this property. Now, what if your client knows a little about feng shui and your client asks something from you, like, oh, how about this? The street is going towards, it's a T section and the street is directly towards my house. What will happen then? Okay, with these things that we will be discussing today, it will help you a bit to be able to explain to your clients what can be done, because there are remedies on everything. Even though the environment might not be that conducive for us, there are still remedies, things that we can do, things that we can alter, we can tweak, so that it still we still get the best of our property. Okay, so the title of our program for today is Basic Feng Shui. It's pronounced as Feng Shui for the real estate folks. No, it's not just about the rising sun, because here in the Philippines, and pretty much in a lot of areas in the world, whenever a real estate person would sell the property, the point of contention would always be, oh, is it facing the rising sun? It's not, that's what I always hear. Is it facing the rising sun? Because if it's facing the rising sun, then it's going to be lucky for me, things like that. But yes, where your property is facing is important, but there are so many things that you need to consider, not just about the sun. There are so many things still, and these are four of those many things we will be discussing today. So remember, feng shui is a very long topic, and there are so many things that we can discuss, but here we are just discussing only a few, just a handful of things that you may bring in to the discussion table whenever either you're buying property or you are selling property. These are things that are nice to know. Okay, but if you'd like to know more about feng shui and how you'll be able to optimize it in selling property, okay, there are still other seminars that I will be running, although they are not through Facebook, through YouTube Live anymore. They will be Zoom seminars, and of course, you need to enroll in those things. But this one is free, and just get the most that you can squeeze out from the learnings that you will have today. Okay, so let's start. Let's talk about feng shui. What is it really? Okay. What is Feng Shui? Feng Shui is the art and science of understanding and analyzing how the environment impacts human experience. Okay, let's look at the definition first. Art and science. Okay, a lot of people consider it as art because it's not a science really. But then again, why is it considered a science? Because it has been used for thousands of years. And science pretty much is observation, the scientific method. You have a problem, you do the experiment, you observe, and you take down what you observe, and you get analysis, or you get conclusions from what you have observed. That's pretty much the process of science. Now, so feng shui went through that process as well. those who were doing feng shui before, they were understanding, analyzing the environment, how it impacts the health, how it impacts wealth, and they were jotting them down. They were writing down all that they observed, and from those that they have observed, remember, this has been done for thousands of years, so there are so many data points. And from all of these data points, they collated the data and created this feng shui. They created conclusions based on what they observed. That's why, although from the West we look at feng shui as simply as an art, consider it as science. Because if you follow the rules of feng shui as a science, the result will be similar to what is to what feng shui is saying. Okay, so it's the art and science and understanding and analyzing how environment. So there are very several branches of Chinese metaphysics. Okay, you have Bazi, you have Qi, man, you have date selection, you have all of these. Now, feng shui is just one. The difference is feng shui is not about the person. It's really about the environment, how the environment impacts us. Okay, and in the environment, there are some key points that we need to look out for. Feng shui is about the flow of energy, the flow of energy inside the house and the flow of energy outside the house. A lot of people study the flow of energy inside the house, but what they are missing is that outside of the house, your area, your outside environment impacts also greatly what happens inside the house. Okay, so those are the things that we need to look for. Now, again, this is just an introduction. This is just a snippet of what feng shui is all about. So, I'll try to give you enough, just enough things for discussion points. Okay, for discussion with your clients. Just to have more conversations with them, more things to talk about. Okay, what else? Uh okay, there are two areas. Okay, wait. Feng Shui is the art and science, and the goal is to find the optimum level of comfort while ensuring a favorable living condition, living and or working environment. So there are two things, huh? Living environment and working environment. Because living environment is how you live. It is basically your house as your abode. Okay, where you sleep, you spend time with your family, all of these things. But there is also one thing, your area as your business area. Okay, your office area. So these are two different things of looking at feng shui. And the rules may be different in some aspects. Okay, we will take a look at some, just some, a little later. Okay, two areas: home feng shui and business feng shui. This is what I was studying about. Home feng shui, which focuses on living environment, and business feng shui, which focuses on working environment. Okay, now there are also two things: external and internal feng shui. External feng shui, which focuses on house and or business location and environment outside the house. Okay, and then there's inside the house, which focuses on internal house arrangements. Okay, later I will share with you some of the points that we will be looking at internal feng shui. But for today, or at least for this hour in our discussion, we will be focusing on external feng shui. Okay, just the external. Later on, we will have another discussion about this. We'll talk about internal feng shui. But for today, just for this hour, we'll be focusing on external feng shui. Okay. So, as I've said a while ago, feng shui is about the flow of energy. There are two types of energies, the sheng qi and the sha qi. Okay. Sheng qi is positive or life enhancing energy. You would want more sheng qi to flow through you, or to have an endpoint in you. However, the other type of chi, which is the sha chi, is harmful or killing energy. This type of energy we want to dissipate. Okay, we don't want them flowing into our business, flowing into our house. They need to be dissipated. But what if there's no choice? They will be flowing in. Okay, there will be remedies. Okay, and I will be discussing some of the remedies that we can use to lessen the impact of the shachi. Okay? So, let's focus on four areas now. The four things that I will be discussing with you when it comes to external environment. Okay? Four things. Okay? Remember, there are so many things. You will have the mountains, you will have water, you will have flowing water, stagnant water. You will have so many the spaces between mountains. These are so many things that we will be looking out for when we talk about feng shui. I cannot discuss all of those now. Okay, so just for our discussion today, we'll be focusing on these four. Okay, what are these four now? We'll be focusing on electrical pylon. Okay, look at the picture. The water tower. Usually, you can find this in subdivisions. Construction. If you are buying a property in the city and you're buying a condo unit, for example, and there's construction just beside you, or even if you are in subdivisions, okay, outside of the city, and you're buying property and there is a construction just near the house that you're buying or the house that you just bought. Okay, what will happen? And of course, the street. Okay, again, a lot of salespeople, a lot of real estate salespeople know about the street. Okay, the rule is it should not be tumbok. Tumbok. But what does tumbok mean? It should not be directly facing a street. But I will show you later. That is not a very dangerous thing as long as you know how to solve it. Okay, how to remedy the situation. There are remedies. Okay, so if your house is directly in front of the street, don't say, this is bad. I need to buy another house. I need to live. This house is gonna kill me. No, you don't need to do those things. There are remedies, and I will share with you some of the remedies. In fact, I will show you properties that are directly on the street, directly facing streets, and yet Chinese people, the richest Chinese in the Philippines, in fact, the richest Filipino, allowed his property to be facing directly a major road, one of the biggest streets in NCR. It is directly facing, it directly ends on his property. So normally, feng shui people will say, don't buy that. No, stay away. But for him, actually, people call him the great contrarian. He goes against. Okay. So for him, it is okay. It is okay because I know how to remedy. There are remedies. I'll show you later. Okay. So first off, let's talk about electrical pylon. Okay. If the property that you are selling has this, okay, huge electrical poles, or not just these types of poles, huge Meralco poles, for example. Okay. What do we say? Okay, so first off, let's talk about pylons. Why is it that electrical pylons are not ideal? Okay, why is it? Okay, so electrical pylons are short, fast energy, and they have so many sharp edges. If you can see all of these lines, they have edges. Okay, so they have they have sharp edges. So what might happen is, since the energy is so fast, you might have health issues, short life, and if you ask those who live near electrical pylons, a lot of them, a lot of cases, in fact, you've seen in one of the movies, they were talking about this. They have cancer. Okay. But it is okay if the pylon is not visible. Okay. Why? Because the lines, the sharp edges, the sharp lines, because in feng shui, the sharp edges or sharp lines or arrows, we call them the pointed arrow or the poison arrow. Poison arrow is formed when at the corner of a house, for example, or at the edge of the roof, it forms a corner, an arrow. And if that arrow points at you, then it is dangerous. It's a poison arrow. So electrical pylons have lots and lots of poison arrows. So What can be done if it is okay if the pylon is not visible? So if you are near the pylon, if look at the pylon, if it's like this, if you let it fall down and you multiply that to two, that distance, if you are within that radius, you are near the pylon. Okay, that's how you measure it. Again, if the pylon stands up like this, if you measure if it falls down and you multiply this distance times 2, that's the radius. So if you are inside that radius, you are near the pylon. Okay. So at the bottom of the last bullet, if the pylon is not visible, if you are that near to the pylon, of course, whatever you do, you can see the pylon because it's so high. Okay. But if you are far to outside the radius, what can you do? Look at the bottom here in the picture. There are trees. You can place trees. Huh? You can place trees. Lots of trees. But again, in the next sessions, I'll talk about how much tree, how much lots is lots, and how much too much is too much. Okay. So the pylon should be far enough from you that if you let it fall down times two the distance, you should be outside the radius. Okay. And if you're outside the radius, if, of course, you can still see it. Just plant trees around, plants around, so that you cannot visibly see the tree, the pylon, especially if it is right directly in front of your house. Okay, plant trees in that area so that you cannot directly see the pylons. Okay, so that's the first electrical pylon. Then let's talk about water tower. In the water tower, remember, it's not about the water itself that's an issue. It's not the water. We have no problem to that. But she comes from the legs of the tower. Legs have sharp edges. These ones. Okay. So these legs have sharp edges. And if you are near, you get affected by the sharp edges of the legs of the water tower itself. Okay. Remember that? It's not the water. It's not the water. The water is okay. But the sharp legs, that's the one that hits you. So what do you do again? Okay. Usual solution. Place trees there. Okay. If you can see, remember, if you drop it times two the distance, that's the radius. And if you're outside the radius, it's okay. Plant trees. Plant not only trees. You can place flowering plants there. Outside my house, I have gumamela because in front of my house there's poison arrow, and under that we place gumamela trees. Or it's a plant. So we grew gumamela. It's big enough to counter the poison arrows. Okay. Next, let's talk about now construction. Okay. In construction, look at this. So many sharp edges in there, right? So many poison arrows in there. And it is tall. How you measure again? Again, similar to the electrical pylon, similar to the waters, the water tank. It should be very far from it. Okay, two distance ones. But also, it is important to take note of the construction. When did it start? Why? Because we have what we call the annual flying star. In the annual flying star, we are checking. Since it's annual, it changes every year. Right? There's what we call the Grand Duke. The Grand Duke is, well, how do I put it simply? It should be avoided. Let's put it at that. It should be avoided. Okay. So right now, for this year, 2021, the Grand Duke is on at the southeast sector. So if in the southeast sector of your property, ideally there should no be major changes, no noise or loud noise. Like for example, if you plan to rearrange your that portion of your house or make construction that portion of the house, it should not be. Okay, because it will be very noisy, and what happens? It gets activated. Okay, you activate the gland, you activate the dangerous area. So no noise on that area. But what if I really need some construction construction to be done there? What am I gonna do next in the next seminar? I'll share with you how. But I'll give you an idea. Start with another area and go towards that area. Okay, so we'll discuss that even more on succeeding discussions. Okay. So you do not activate. Right? So especially if the construction is on that area of yours. Again, for this year, it's the southeast southeast portion of the house. Right? What do you do again? Okay, so train tower causes shot chi, and what do you do? You need to not see it. Okay, you need to not see it, and usually constructions naman they end after some time because the construction will be finished. What's important really to know is when did it start, because when it started, that's where you count, that's where you measure, that's where you determine where the juke is, or you check the annual flight time. Okay, so that's on construction. Now this is important one. Okay, and a lot of times people think about this. The street, okay, the street, is it directly hitting your house? Okay? Is it directly fronting your house? Okay, so what is the challenge with the street? Too much energy, either too much energy, too much shang-chi or shachi. This is usually avoided because you don't know what it is or what energy it brings. Is it going to bring Shang-Chi or is it going to bring Shachi? You don't know. You don't know. So usually what the Chinese do, or what we do using if we use Feng Shui, is we don't buy the plant. Okay. That's basically it. We just don't buy the plant. That's why if you go to subdivisions, if you go to villages, where in a lot of those who bought property of the Chinese, and not only that, even in other videos, you will see that those properties that face directly on your street are the last ones to be bought. Check that out. Go to expensive subdivisions, expensive villages. The last properties that are usually sold are properties that are directly facing a major street. That's why subdivision developers know that, and they have solutions for that. Okay, and the solution is called cul-de-sac. I'll show you later what that means, because it's being used now by one of the big the most successful Chinese in the Philippines, and I'll show you how he used it. Okay, so if it is going directly to your house, that's dangerous. Okay, well, at least for feng shui, because again, it's too much energy. If it's Shang-Chi, then that spells good for you. If it's Shang-Chi, well, too much positive energy. But again, you don't know what's coming in. So if it's Shang-Chi that comes in, then you need to find ways on how to dissipate that. How do you do that? Okay, I'll share with you one technique. Okay. By this, Mall of Asia is at the end of EDSA. Is it not that? Remember, where is Mall of Asia located? Look at this. I just got this from the Google map. There. So you have the street. This is EDSA. EDSA. This is a major thoroughfare, probably the busiest street in the Philippines. EDSA. Probably this is the busiest street in the Philippines. So, at the end of EDSA, you have Mall of Asia. So you're saying now, that's bad. You shouldn't do that. Okay. What is the solution now? This is why you know that Henry C knows his feng shui, or probably he requested a feng shui expert to do this for him. Look at this, globe rotunda. Okay, what is that? It is this. Look at this. How did he solve it? This is EDSA. Okay, I move myself. This is EDSA going directly to Mall of Asia. And how did he counter the energy that passes through EDSA? By creating this rotunda and placing a globe in the middle. Okay. So this, when energy comes here and hits this portion, the energy goes around and round and round, and it doesn't hit directly Mall of Asia. Plus, you have a globe here. This was not placed here just to say, you know what, Mall of Asia. If Mall of Asia, you're showing Asia, so you just place a portion of the globe that shows Asia. But his is the entire globe. So you could call this Mall of the World then, because it is the globe that's here. But he placed the entire globe not simply to show the globe, but to dissipate the energy that passes through EDSA. So look at this. This is a very good solution. And you have plants here, although it is not that high, but here you see plants as well. Plants, not the one directly on in front. Here on the side, there are plants because on this portion, it gets covered by the globe anyway. So this portion is okay. So look at this, a very beautiful solution. And look, and remember, Mall of Asia is not the first biggest mall that he created. What was at first? Okay, if you've been in the Philippines for quite some time now, or if you were born prior to 1986, or at least you already were conscious prior to 1986, you know what I'm talking about. It is this. It is this. The first huge mall. And what is it called? The SM North Edsa. SM City, as it was called in before. And look at this. Okay? This is a street, a very busy street. And this is EDSA again. And it is again at the corner of one street, intersection of one major street and another street. So, boom! It's directly SM North EDSA or SM City. So, there is no globe here, okay, that will dissipate the energy. But what did he use? Look at this. Zooming in, okay? Remember, this is Epifanio de los Santos. You have North Avenue here. And what is in front of SM City? A park. And in that park, you will see trees. Again, how do you dissipate the energy? Use trees. Use nature. Okay, nature is the best solution that you can use so that you can counter the negative energy, the shachi. You can counter the shachi that will hit your property, nature. So be ready to use plants, be ready to plant trees, be ready for nature to be brought into your property so that when you use your property, when you buy the property, you're sure that you get the best. Okay. So those are only four things, not only four things that we are looking at when it comes to properties. Okay, remember, there are so many other things. We just focus on four right now. Later on in my other discussions, I will be sharing with you other ones as well. Okay, but next time we will talk about internal function. We're talking about external now. We're not yet reached some external, but I'd like to share with you some of the internal. And in the internals, we'll talk about the location of the stove. Stove is very important. The location of your bedroom, the location of the front door. Front door is very critical. It's the landing area and all of those things. Okay? So, this is just a few of the things that you can talk about when it comes to basic feng shui. Okay? And this is not the last. This is not the last. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Okay? And there are so many things still that we can talk about when we discuss basic feng shui. But only these four things are conversation topics already with your clients. And you can tell them, if the client tells you, how about this? The property is directly in front and nobody's buying it. So don't worry, man. Don't worry, sir. There is a solution for that. Do you know SM Mall of Asia? Do you know SM City? They are also right smack in front of a very major thoroughfare. But there is a solution. And remember, a Chinese Henry C was the one who constructed that. Why will he do that? Because he knows there is a remedy. There is a solution. So for your property, there also is a solution. So don't be bothered by it. Okay? Don't be bothered by it. We can do something to counter it. Okay, if the person believes in Feng Shui, because there are not a lot of people believe in Feng Shui, by the way, but if the person believes in Feng Shui, or at least these are talking points in your conversation, things that you can share with them. You know, what now? This is a very exciting property because of this, because of that. That will help. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. Again, I'm sorry for being late a bit. These are things that we can't control, but thank you for listening. Thank you for being with us. And next discussion on Feng Shui, we'll talk about internal. Okay, arrangement in the house. After that, we'll talk about external again, then internal again. Okay, so let's discuss different aspects of Feng Shui so that when you sell property or when you buy property, you know what to look for. Okay, so again, I'm Angel Luzari of Luzari Consulting.